been quite the journey, and we wrap up this final week by kicking off the festivities here in Houston, our final trip to AVEVA Stadium as the SaberCats welcome to town the Glendale Raptors. We take a look at the standings. There are still 5 teams contending for those 4 spots above the postseason cutoff line as of this past weekend. NOLA Gold has slipped on the outside looking in. They'll need a little help, but of course they do have a matchup coming up with San Diego. Rugby United, Toronto, Seattle at the moment, all still looking at a postseason berth. These are the matchups this weekend that will help settle out the seeding as well as which 4 teams move on. A lot of folks started this year, circled this date on the calendar between the 2 newcomers, Toronto, New York, and in fact, they proved to be right. Both teams look like they will be in the postseason. Of course, Siendo NOLA will be a big one. Of course, if there happens to be a tie for that final spot or for seeding as well, these are your tiebreakers with the priority being placed on victories. After that, point differential, most tries versus tries against, and then, of course, the good old-fashioned coin toss if needed. And then something to look forward to. Our friends over on CBS Sports Net will have both semifinals on Saturday and Sunday, June 8th and June 9th this next month, while the championship for year 2 and that 80-pound shield will be presented nationally on CBS. Hi, everyone. Lincoln Rose along with Kit McConico at AVEVA Stadium, the new home, and finally, Kit, the grass is taking root, and so are the SaberCats.
That's exactly right. A completely different SaberCats team. Unfortunately, a little too late in the season to make the playoffs, but a great end of the season. Conversely, Glendale, so good last year, unraveling a bit at the end of this season.
It was a Glendale team that really set the bar last year with their performance in the regular season, but the rest of the season, the rest of the teams here in year 2 seem to have really caught up. Let's take a look at your matchups here today. First up, for the home side, here back home at AVEVA, how do the SaberCats continue their best stretch in their first 2 years here in Major League Rugby?
Part of the reason Houston has been so good of recent is they've been getting the tries, not settling for the 3 points, the penalty goals that they were early in the season. And in this game, it's about staying connected on defense. That is going to be a key. Glendale so good with the ball in hand. They like to get it out wide. That defense is going to have to be on the same page for Houston to finish strong. 3 matches in a week to finish the season. They wrap things up Saturday against Utah on a 2-game winning streak. Can they make it 3 tonight?
Glendale won the last meeting when they were at home in Colorado against the SaberCats. 96 combined points that night. How did the Raptors manage to sweep and bounce back here today?
Well, they need to get back to that high-flying offense. A great ruck. They need to get the ball out quick of the breakdown. That is when they're at their best. They didn't do that last week against Toronto. They catch the defense on their heels, get it out wide. They are absolutely outstanding in pride. They've been eliminated from the playoffs with a loss last week in Toronto. What kind of Raptors team will we see tonight?
Well, SaberCats have been finding a few more tries as of late, so Mr. Windsor has not been having to split the sticks quite as often, but obviously such a valuable piece for them all year long.
Oh, he's been their leader, not just with the boot, but in every facet. Sam Windsor, he leads the league, 25 penalty goals, led the league in scoring last year with 103 points, and as he goes, so go the Cats.
Meanwhile, the Raptors may be missing a few of the pieces they had to start the campaign, but they also do have a few healthy gentlemen who have suited up for the red, white, and blue.
Well, they do indeed, including the man up front, the hooker, Finoglio, the Denver native, and this is going to be his last match for the Raptors. Will be retiring at the end of the season. What a job he has done. Many years there in Glendale. It'll be sad to see him go. Hopefully for he and his teammates, he goes out on the winning foot.
Houston does have one final regular season matchup this weekend for the Raptors. The way the schedule plays out, this is their season finale in year 2 of Major League Rugby. Can they end it on a high note? We get underway at AVEVA Stadium next.
AVEVA, proudly sponsoring Houston SaberCats Rugby. With over 16,000 customers and 4,400 employees across the globe, we have delivered unrivaled excellence for more than 50 years. In an environment that's increasing in complexity, the one constant is the need for change. Change driven by new demands, by a desire to do things better, by sustaining what we've created. We enable customers to master change, pushing boundaries in a digital world where everything is possible.
We are brothers, united by a shared passion to grow the sport of rugby. We assemble here, our home, AVEVA Stadium.
We know athletes because we are athletes. At the Sports Medicine Clinic at the Baylor College of Medicine, we provide top-level care to athletes of all levels in Houston and around the country. As the official healthcare provider of the Houston SaberCats, our doctors and sports medicine healthcare professionals are dedicated to safely enhancing our athletes' performance while promoting recovery and injury prevention. Getting you back on the field, in the game, and ready to roar.
We are brothers, united by a shared passion to grow the sport of rugby. We assemble here, our home, AVEVA Stadium.
Just a Sean Windsor kick away from downtown Houston here at AVEVA Stadium. Take a look at the starting lineup today here for Paul Emmerich's group. And Kit, there's a reason why one of the bright spots this year for the SaberCats has been the scrum. And, of course, that's the big men up front.
That's exactly right. That forward pack, so impressive. Deaver, O'Toole, Conley up front, Magno and Comtat behind them. And then don't forget the Flying Fijians, the backs, VC and Kalina Sal, deadly with the ball in hand.
Connor Murphy back at scrum half for this matchup after a little experimentation with the number 9 this past weekend. As for the Raptors, the men they have available, again, a whole lot of red, white, and blue, but some internationals, including DTS, who can make an impact.
Now you talk about Dylan Takeda-Simpson, absolutely outstanding, as is Crusade Davidson. The three of them, they are as good a backs as you'll find anywhere in the league. Glendale, they're so good with the ball, but they haven't been able to get it out wide. Toronto really kept them pinned in. Houston will be looking to do the same tonight.
Again, the last time these two teams collided, April 6th, 96 points between the two clubs combined. Will we have that many fireworks here tonight? Well, chance to check in for the first time today down on the sideline with Austin Ivan. Austin?
Thanks, Lincoln. This match was originally supposed to take place a couple weeks ago, but due to weather, it was moved to tonight. Postponing the game gave both teams the opportunity to prepare even more for each other. However, for the Houston SaberCats, they didn't spend any of their extra time focusing on Glendale, but rather themselves. This is just game 4 for interim head coach Paul Emmerich. The team has spent all their time focusing on working on developing the team's pattern work in the back line, which has improved much the past couple games. For Glendale, it's their last game of the season, so they're just looking to get a win and finish on a high note.
Thank you, Austin. Some great points there. Derek Summers will be our man in the middle for this matchup. But Kit, want to go back to something Austin touched on. Houston realizing at this point their own opponent themselves, focusing on themselves, their own culture, interim coach, now 2 straight victories. You know, it kind of goes back to what looked to be an ugly loss on the scoreboard against New York, but that was a match that really started to answer some questions for them and build some confidence moving forward.
It was a tough loss. Paul Emmerich has done a fantastic job since taking over. This Houston team has really been able to coalesce. They've gotten things together. They realized they weren't going to make the playoffs, but they're finishing the season on a high note, looking towards 2020. Conversely, for Glendale, they were the cream of the crop last year. They lost in the final to Seattle. They were hoping to get back in the playoffs this year, but the last few games not going the Raptors' way. They are on the outside looking in. Their final game of 2019, they want to finish on the high note.
You mentioned last year Raptors dominant in the regular season, came up short to Seattle in the championship. Sometimes championship caliber teams just rest on their laurels, no improvement. That wasn't the case. Glendale aggressive, went out and got some additions, including Honko. Just did not pan out this year.
Well, they got the hammer, Honko Hermashais, and some new additions. But the thing was, the rest of the league improved as well. And credit every team in Major League Rugby. Vast improvements from year 1 to year 2. We've seen that on the pitch. The caliber of play very much improved in 2019.
Underway in Houston at AVEVA Stadium. Final home match in front of the home crowd for the SaberCats. They do travel to play Utah this weekend. For Glendale, their schedule originally was going to wrap up this past weekend, barring postseason. But again, as Austin mentioned, this matchup was postponed to this date. So Raptors fans with a chance to tune in to at least 80 more minutes of Raptors rugby. And again, an early touch here for the SaberCats and a man who brings a lot of excitement to the pitch in Joshua Vithi.
That does indeed. The big question for me is what will we see from Glendale? They are not going to make the playoffs. They know that. A lot of changes in this starting 15. No Johnny Muscles Ryberg. He's not there. The man who leads the league in tries. And see what Glendale has after that tough loss to Toronto up in Ontario. That was it. If they didn't get the victory there, they needed help. They couldn't get that win to get in.
Houston with an opportunity here. Again, back to Murphy as the scrum half.
Houston's done a very good job of late playing those advantages. The knock on now, Houston looking dangerous.
And quickly stepping in, Vithi.
A nice run there from the captain today, threatened Palamo for the Cats.
Yeah, how about the mid-season addition of Palamo and what he's provided both on the pitch as well as in the locker room. A former Eagle, capped right around the same time in the 300s as the current interim head coach Paul Emmerich, as they would love to see Threaten suit up again for the red, white, and blue.
Emmerich knows Palamo. He played with him. He knows what he can do. He's given him a lot of leeway, and he's really improved.
As we will bring it back here as an early penalty. So the scrum for Houston helped them win so many kicks for Sam Windsor this year. And this time, I believe he does gesture towards the sticks. Let's see what he has in mind if they will actually go for the line out. It's a different philosophy at this point of the season than it was at the start of the year.
It is indeed, but he's going to bring the tee out, and I like this decision. Just 2 minutes in, put points on the board. This should be routine for the Aussie. See if Rook can split the uprights and give his side a 3-0 lead.
Sam disappointing all the fans this past weekend against Austin right here. Did not kick a penalty goal through the sticks. They were settling for tries.
Yeah. They had 6 tries, 4 different try scorers. I think the Cats fans pretty pleased with that result, taking the Lone Star Derby title there over the Austin Elite.
Your leading scorer in Major League Rugby last year. Able to put it through for the opening 3 points for Houston here in the first 3 minutes. So Glendale, just like this past weekend, falls behind early. Now Glendale quickly had an answer against Toronto, but they ran into an Arrows team that now 6 straight matches unbeaten have just started to find their stride, as folks hoped they would, looking at their schedule.
Well, Toronto, the hottest team in Major League Rugby without a shadow of a doubt. Their first loss, the knock on from Houston, not the way they wanted to restart after that penalty goal.
Opportunity here for the visitors from Glendale. Can the Raptors quickly reclaim the 3 points they just gave up, or maybe even more?
You mentioned Toronto, and it just bears what being hot at the right time means, and having that momentum, the confidence. Toronto has it, Glendale doesn't. Glendale's been so good, but their first loss ever in Rugby Town, USA, the first loss ever at Infinity Park just a few weeks ago, and things have not gone their way since.
For the Raptors here, again, Sean Davies, the captain, the man with the 9 on his back, will help direct this scrum. This is an advantage typically for the SaberCats.
Come on.
And you see the power, the men in black just bulldozing forward the first scrum. Houston really puts their mark on it. That's what Cats fans have seen all season.
I will invite fans to go back and watch the archive of Houston's matchup against Austin last weekend, where the referee, I won't name him, but actually stood in front of the tunnel, never allowed the ball to be fed, just because he knew how the scrum was going to play out. Houston, again, that is their headliner for this. Those men up front, a lot of them from Ireland, and that is the reason why they've been able to win so many penalty goal opportunities.
Their former head coach, Justin Fitzpatrick, bringing a lot of his countrymen over. The advantage for Houston in that set piece, there's a clear advantage in the line-out.
Murphy. On the 15.
Murphy Terramai looking for a little quick tap and go. Derek will bring things back. Will Derek Summers to the midway stripe.
Now the tap and go out to Daly.
Jamie, let him go.
Trying to wrestle the big man down. And Jamie Deaver able to halt him momentarily. So the Raptors were not able to take advantage of that early knock-on deep into SaberCat territory. Can they eat up some meters here and get within striking distance of that try zone?
This is what Raptors fans have seen, that ball going backward, but they're their best, ball in hand, moving it quickly in and out. Talking about getting it out wide. Few teams in Major League Rugby can do what they can with space.
Lennox sends it back into touch. Again, with this year's expanded schedule, everybody played one another twice, home and home. And of course, next year, these two teams will continue to play each other twice. They will be both members of a very impressive Western Conference in Major League Rugby.
Great to see the growth from last year to this year, and then there will be continued growth into year 3. The Eastern and Western Conferences, more representation on the East with Atlanta and both New England coming in, along with Old Glory there in the nation's capital.
Already seeing some early signings for those squads on loan to some of the existing members as we are back here to Connor Murphy.
Use it. No. Go again. If it's not moving, you know, say no.
Yeah, we'll have to do that again.
If I say use it.
Murphy being told to use it, and Derek Summers giving him one last warning that when that ball gets past the heel to number 8, he has to get to it.
I mentioned this before, these referees in the first couple of years of Major League Rugby, years from now, we'll be able to look back and see how they helped define the style of this league.
Well, that's a great point. You look at rugby across the world, and it's a different game. I mean, what you see in New Zealand to Australia, England to France, everyone has their specific style, and the U.S. is developing theirs as well.
And when I say that, I mean the expectations and the standards. Part of it, the continuous flow. Palamo quickly feeds it out. Fullback Kalinisau able to recover. We've seen a lot of versatile fullbacks this year in year 2 of Major League Rugby. A few have stepped in at scrum half when needed. It's ultimately dragged down by London.
Yeah, good work there from Esdale, able to stay in play. Wisely saw the touch line.
And just a misfeed, still went backwards. A break here, winds up with the hooker O'Toole. That's Palamo, who doesn't even need a number.
I don't know if you can see the number underneath the main.
This one goes forward. Turnover over to the Raptors.
Handling errors, that's been something that's plagued Houston at times this year. You see the quick counter from Glendale. This is what they want.
Al-Jaburi.
The offload's so good from the Raptors.
Never onside.
And Houston.
Just step a bit, yeah.
Offside there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to want to pursue a line out.
You expect Glendale to send this one into touch, play a bit of field position game at this juncture, trailing 3-0.
And Dylan will send it into touch. Well, great venue, and that is certainly one of the primary things these two clubs moving forward will have in common, both with rugby-specific venues here in the United States. The crown jewel, obviously, still Rugby Town.
No, you're good.
But AVEVA, a lot of memories still be made moving forward.
Indeed, Infinity Park, the one that all other rugby-specific stadiums will be judged by. And just the great fans and the support, the history and the tradition there in Glendale. But Houston making some of their own. It's great to see them. You talk to players what it means to have your own park, your own pitch, go to that locker room. SaberCats very excited.
Relying on some size up front to get them within about 8 meters. Is this when the Raptors come away with points?
Number 4, can't take out the lifter. Can't take out the lifter, yeah.
And you hear the cause for concern for player safety as they warn Magno.
This is really where Glendale needs to come away with points, and preferably the try as opposed to the 3. You're deep in Houston territory. You're trailing early. You haven't had a lot of the ball. Line out one of the specialties of Glendale.
Benolio sends it in. Able to find Dam. Driving. Houston may have been able to slam on the brakes just in time. This one's still 1.5 meters shy.
The collapse.
Looking for an opportunity here, 1 meter out now with Al-Jaburi. And the SaberCats continue to find an answer. DTS. Oh, what a feed. Everybody's still looking at DTS. He picks up the assist, and Harley Davidson with perhaps the least attention sent his way in quite some time.
So Takeo Simpson, so impressive. The Kiwi, beautiful ball out. See the little jump step, that's what he's known for. Able to elude one. The one-handed, looking like the other acronym, SBW. That's an offload right there from DTS. Harley Davidson, an easier try. He will not score. Glendale back to take the lead.
What a feed, just perfectly timed with the circumstances as the defender looked to make a commitment. And Harley Davidson does not get to stroll into the try zone that often with so little resistance.
Yeah, we give DTS so much credit. It's that step that freezes defenders. They don't know what to do. And the beautiful one-handed offload.
So Raptors have answered after trailing for about 9 minutes. Still a conversion coming up.
A good response from the Raptors. Just playing their pattern, going about their game, never panicking. South African Petzer looking to tack on 2 more.
Glendale realized this past weekend after they needed a victory and some help coming up short north of the border in their lone trip to Canada that they would be on the outside looking in. That one's wide. Flags will stay down, but the Raptors do have a lead with their first score. Again, what a great feed, ultimately winding up in the arms of Harley Davidson. The Raptors, you just wonder the mindset coming into a match like this on the road against a team that's been near the bottom of the table but has started to find its stride in Houston as of late.
Yeah, 2 teams that early in the season, they were in completely opposite directions. Glendale flying high, coming off that loss in the final last year. Houston, a very difficult start to the season, but now at the end, it's Houston looking the better of the sides. They have the momentum. They're winners of the last 2. And Glendale in a position they're not accustomed to, having lost a few matches.
And finally, the knock-on indicated. Initially looked like there may have been contact just around the lower leg, still legal, but subsequently trying to scoop it up.
If you look at Glendale, really the difference is playing at home and away. They lost at Infinity Park for the first time ever a few weeks ago to the Seawolves. That is their first loss in 2 seasons at home. But if you look at their away record, it leaves a lot to be desired.
I'm excited about year 3. Obviously, we still have yet to crown a champion officially here in year number 2, but just the growth from year 1 to year 2 in Major League Rugby in skill and expectations. Glendale was a big part of that last year. I look forward to seeing how the 3 new clubs added as well really continue to help elevate this league.
You mentioned it, Glendale, one of those teams who really set the standard in year 1.
O'Toole will send it in quick and easy into Fanana Schultz.
Fortunate there. I don't think Fanana Schultz, a flanker, was anticipating that one coming his way.
Raptors were ready. Houston still 5 meters out, looking for a quick response to the try a moment ago. Driving. Can they dot it down over the line and in? First try of the night for the SaberCats in this, their home finale in year 2.
Exactly what Houston needed to do. You have the ball deep inside the 22, right there about the 5. You have the size and strength advantage in that forward pack, and let the big men go to work. Rumbling in. Houston retakes the lead. Take another look here. And just a tough, hard sledding run. Everyone in black.
Thank you.
Trying to get across that try line and into the in-goal area.
Windsor will come on for the conversion after the SaberCats find a quick answer.
He's in front. Actually, it's off of the kick. So hit his
Well, as Houston fans know, Sam Windsor, like death and taxes when it comes to splitting the uprights, he rarely misses. I know he, more than anyone, excited to have his own pitch. And for the kickers, it's difficult to move around. You're playing at different parks. You're trying to get the dimensions. You're trying to figure out the win. Sam Windsor doesn't have to worry about that anymore, at least in the home matches.
Murphy will try to send this one into touch. And another set piece coming up the line out. So Derek Summers assisted today by the up-and-comer Scott Green, along with Greg Farnell. Greg here on the near side.
How many? Just tell me. Cool.
I think Scott has a bright future.
We'll make sure to let him know you think so.
Short-lived Maul effort. Loose ball. Look what I found for Mr. Davies, the captain.
With your legs, though. No.
And some extracurriculars. You don't want anything carrying over into next season.
No. Hold on. Just hold on. One thing at a time.
You saw
Go on the ground,
good-natured.
on the ground, and then you play it with your feet, and then they got dirty ball. Get on your feet before you play. Accidental, yeah, but. Here we go.
So the Raptors, after Devers' try a moment ago, find themselves back down, this time by 5.
DTS will send this one out into touch, and they will look for a repeat of that first try when they're able to get that line out deep in SaberCats territory and push it across.
I didn't think we would see 96 points again, but if things continue to pick up like they have these past few minutes, we might be flirting with that century mark.
And we may well.
Right now we're just flirting with the opening water break. There's your Maul. The problem is SaberCats haven't budged much today.
It broke off.
For the SaberCats, defensively, it needs to be a bend but don't break mentality. We mentioned staying connected. That's going to be the real key for them. As good of attack as they're facing in the Raptors.
Time off.
Glendale was playing with an advantage. Houston never really let them get too creative after that.
So six black takes it to ground.
Dave tipped me over there. I haven't.
No. 6 black took it to ground.
Okay.
All right. It's 2 Maul defenses. One on the goal line. We have one right here. Then another. Discipline, or you will lose a player.
Okay.
Yeah. Hold it up. Yeah. You've taken it to ground.
Is it a Maul?
Yes.
You heard the warning there from
Yes.
referee Derek Summers. The captain threatened Palamo, discipline, or you will lose a player. We have not seen any yellows, and Houston getting the first real warning. Now you have to clean things up, or they're going to have a man headed to the bin.
And again, he speaks to threaten. Palamo does. Derek Summers, as threatened, has already emerged as a captain. A midseason acquisition for this group. In fact, the first match played on this surface, it was threatened with his first try on day 1 coming off the bench for this group. Immediate impact on the pitch and again in the locker room.
Well, his experience, just an incredible player where he's played, what he's done, and having a player of that caliber, what he was brought to this team, can't overstate.
Benolio from 5 meters out. Can that Maul form again? Right now resides with Dam.
No, you're good. It's gone down. It's gone down. Let's use.
A lot of congestion within 2 meters. Ball comes out. Turnover by the Raptors. Opportunity lost. As Mike Sell thought he had an opportunity to feed it out on the wing. A break for Houston there. A little bit too cavalier.
Dion Mike Sell, the man from Iowa, the former Lindenwood University player, is impressive young talent. He's trying to maybe imitate what he's seen from VC and Kalina a few times in those sevens games. But Houston, in that situation, you have room, get it up top, get it wide. And poor turnover. Bad decision there from Houston. As they're able to force the turnover, ball pops out. Great work there. I believe that was Charlie Conley. And then Mike Sell, you take another look at it. Mike Sell, just well off the mark with that pass.
Don't shift, okay?
We've already been spoiled today with the feed from DTS to Harley Davidson.
Something else.
Makes you appreciate it even more. So Raptors back on the attack again, trail by 5.
And again, Houston, infractions at the breakdown. They're going to have to clean this up or they're going to be down a man.
Yeah.
Big Luke White, the vice captain, right in the mix.
So number 5's coming
Windsor
in and kick the ball
wisely
cleanly out.
pulling Comtat
And he
away
has to
from
go
the
card.
confrontation.
We saw Luke earlier this year in Austin with half of his
Number
lip
5.
dangling
Number
from his
5.
face.
I don't think it affected his play.
Can't kick the ball.
And you see it right here. Here's another look. Comtat. Poor decision there from Victor Comtat.
Keep it.
And he's going to head to the bin for that one, and rightfully so. Just a mistake you cannot make. Victor Comtat loses his composure, and Houston will be down a man for the next 10 minutes.
Another one of your midseason acquisitions this year for Houston. Glendale does now take the numerical advantage on the pitch while trailing on the scoreboard. Can they take advantage?
22.
Overcooked, unable to place that one where the Raptors were hoping for. Letting Houston off the hook a bit in that situation. You have the man advantage. Looking for another line out at the 5. Couldn't come up with it.
Well, next time we see a scrum, we'll see how Comtat's absence affects things. And, well, we don't have to wait long, obviously, right here.
Houston already looking the better of the two sides when it came to the scrum with Comtat. And we'll see with that what they're able to do without him.
Scrum holds up. Murphy will feed it. SaberCats imposing their will. They can take advantage of an advantage opportunity here. Still playing it. Off the boot. Windsor has the speed to scoop it up. Outside to Vithi with the creativity. Vithi off to the races. Vithi will dot it down. A double-digit lead at AVEVA for the home squad SaberCats.
With Joshua Vithi with the try, but give the credit to the captain, Sam Windsor. One of the captains, I should say. Just incredible stuff. The stab kick through, beautifully played. Windsor, a great job collecting it over to Vithi. Vithi, no way.
Good scrum. You had advantage.
He says to Taramai, the flying dot down for 5.
He had support, and while he never gave it up, that certainly helped the run. At the same time, they were playing an advantage. Windsor, very mindful of that, decided to put the ball to boot, able to scoop it up, and, well, no need for the advantage the rest of the way.
Windsor just so talented with his boot. The stab kick through, absolutely perfectly weighted and no trouble. The try and the conversion makes it 17-5 Houston. We've seen some great plays, some spectacular individual so far in this.
That will take us to our first hydration break and a 12-point advantage on the scoreboard for the SaberCats in their final home matchup of year 2 of Major League Rugby.
What does it mean to be super? I don't know anymore. And I've grown so tired of helping the ungrateful masses. It's time. It's time to be super again. It's beach season.
The EM Sculpt is non-invasive and requires no recovery time or pre or post preparation. Get treated in just 30 minutes. Feel results right away. You'll see positive results soon after treatment and continue for weeks after. Schedule your appointment today with the one and only Timeless Plastic Surgery. Our board-certified doctors will get you on your way to washboard abs in no time.
Beaches love abs.
Cape and Superpowers not included.
Meet the next generation of studio fitness. Introducing Tough Mudder Boot Camp. Train together. See results faster than ever. Check one out or own one yourself.
A little past the midway point of the opening half. Let's check back in with Austin.
Earlier this week, the Houston SaberCats had a very special visitor, rugby legend and champion Gustavo Zurbino, who is a survivor of the 1972 plane crash in the Andes. The Houston SaberCats had seen the movie Alive, which tells the story of the plane crash, but they said hearing Gustavo tell his story in person was so inspiring, listening to how he survived after being stranded. It was also extra special for SaberCats Santiago Arado because he plays on that same Uruguayan rugby team as Gustavo.
Austin, thank you. Again, ceremony beforehand. As right now, SaberCats, whatever the inspiration may be, up by a dozen here in their home finale. They will play Utah on the road.
What a treat for the Cats to meet a player like Servino, that Uruguayan national team, that tragic plane crash up in the Andes. But guys like Arata meeting his countrymen and being able to introduce him to the rest of his teammates. But for Houston, whatever the change has been, was it that loss to New York that really turned it around, the change in Coach Emmerich taking over? This is a different SaberCats team than we saw early in the season.
Raptors need the answer here. Briefly led 5-3 after going down early to a penalty goal from Sean Windsor. The answer from Harley Davidson. This ball stayed in touch, but not for long. Dragged out by Esdale.
Davidson no choice but to make a play on it right there at the touchline, easily brought out by Esdale. And all too familiar for Glendale, what we saw last week in Toronto. They got up early on the Arrows, and then the Arrows just really took off. Houston looking to do the same.
Backwards.
Legal backwards to Windsor. Windsor. Sean Windsor, though, no support.
Yeah, Windsor, a great ball, able to break through, drug down, but not a black kit anywhere there for him to offload it to. Houston been able to bring a support line. They may have been lining up the conversion right now.
Murphy will hang on after the tackle from Rogers. SaberCats right back into the red zone.
Off your feet.
Murphy trying to take advantage.
Open up,
Remember, Houston still down a man for about the next 4.5 minutes. Comtat picked up the yellow back in the 20th.
Connolly. Can the Raptors stiffen up here? And that ball squirts loose.
Excuse me, did not roll. Sorry, not roll.
And they're going to have the luxury of bringing it back.
Another infraction there. Glendale not rolling away after the tackle, didn't release the ball carrier. You'll see it here.
That's the play that brings us back.
Scrum. Scrum call.
Well, that was never going to be a question what Houston wanted to do this deep in the Raptors territory. It was going to be a scrum. I know Derek Summers even had to ask.
Well, they essentially scored out of the scrum their last time when Windsor put it to the boot moments later. That created the advantage for them, as the scrum often has.
And we'll see if there's a little run off the side here, as close as they are to that try line.
And we just feel like a broken record when talking about the Houston front.
If you have the ability, and teams, Toronto, they have a great scrum as well. Houston's fantastic, and that really, it sets the tone, not just physically, but all over the pitch. When you know those guys up front are gonna get it done, and they can really just assert their will on their opponents.
Obviously, the defending champs are in that mix as well over there in Seattle.
Oh, without a doubt.
They and Houston have gone back and forth for best efficiency out of their scrum.
Yeah, you look at Toronto, Seattle, best scrums around. Houston,
Fans starting to discover their favorite place to hang out around AVEVA Stadium.
Here we go. Crouch.
No surprise, there happen to be concessions nearby.
Bind. Set.
Houston 8 meters out. Fonana Schultz out to Palamo.
Quickly wrapped up Fonana Schultz. But I anticipated a quick run off the side. Raptors up to it.
We'll expect Comtat to return here soon for Houston. Even the numbers. In his absence right now, Magno.
Get off your feet.
And reason for the celebration for the Raptors as SaberCats guilty of pursuing the ball off their feet.
An error Houston cannot afford to make in that situation. You're about a meter, maybe two away from the try line. Turn it over. That would have been massive for Houston if they were able to add to it. Instead, a huge switch of field position for Glendale.
What?
Again, 5 teams still in the hunt for those last 4 spots in this year's playoff race. Plus plenty of seeding implications will make for an exciting weekend coming up. Glendale playing its final match on the schedule. Houston has one more road trip to Utah. But you talk about New Orleans and San Diego, who hadn't played one another even for the first time until really this final month of the season. And we knew that would have a big influence. San Diego caught fire again after a tough loss up in Toronto had appeared to cost them.
And then you've got Rugby United heading north, going to play Toronto. Both those teams tied with 53 points. That's going to be a great match as well north of the border.
Davidson with a rare touch after his try. Rogers. Yeah, Toronto and Rooney living up to those expectations. Meanwhile, splitting defenders looking for some support here. Malifa.
This is what Glendale needs to do. They lead the league in line breaks. They are so good ball in hand. Tackles broken. Just haven't had the opportunity. And credit Houston defensively. They're able to get there. They're not giving the Raptors chances to get up to speed. And that's the difference between tackling a player when he receives the ball and tackling it when he's at 3 or 4 yards to really get up. It's completely different.
AVEVA Stadium, 3rd different venue Houston has called home this year.
I think for the first time, the players would certainly agree that they have their own home, and that they played in some great places, and credit everyone in there, Constellation Field and Sugar Land, and the other establishments they played in. But when you have your own house, it is different. Glendale knows that better than anybody.
Oh, turnover. Glendale pounces, but the whistle. That ball found Jason Dam, but
Went to deck.
Derek Summers has other ideas. A failure to release, essentially impeding the speed of play.
And Houston dodges one there, so mistakes from both teams. Comtat now back on to make it all even.
The Raptors never able to take advantage of this opportunity as we're all the way back up to midfield.
After a hot start, just too many mistakes from both sides the last few minutes. We'll see who's the better in this final 10 minutes of the first half. Can Glendale find their way back into this one, or can Houston really put their mark on it?
SaberCats are back to full strength, and a shoestring try-saving tackle, it appeared for the moment.
Dion Mikesell was off for that in-goal area.
Again, Comtat fresh legs after sitting out for 10 minutes. During which Houston able to grow its advantage.
10 lead.
Murphy directs traffic, Windsor. Beathy, you talk about a man who can make you miss in a phone booth if you're playing two-hand touch.
And Glendale not giving them that opportunity, bottling them up, and this is better defensively from the Raptors.
Most of our viewers asking, what's a phone booth? Out wide, off the boot. Will it stay within play? Half have to field it cleanly.
No. He's touched it down on the line.
And he will get credit for touching it down. They'll bring it out.
Good work there from Glendale, able to touch it down on the line.
Down on the line to 22.
It'll come back out to the 22. Optimistic there from Mike Sell. Don't see him put boot to ball that often.
And a great job by Derek Summers on top of that. DTS able to touch it down right on the line with that pressure.
Great play there from Dylan Takeo Simpson. And he had to make it.
Skyward.
Fair contest, lost forward.
Yeah, that one clearly went forward without a doubt. We'll have to bring it all the way back.
And briefly, they're concerned for Beathy. Good to see him pop back up.
We're going to have scrum.
I like this. Game starting to open up a bit, a little faster pace. You wonder whose advantage that is to.
Prop down, time off, prop down.
So Glendale briefly led 5-3, but it's 2 unanswered tries with the subsequent conversions as well for the SaberCats, expanding their lead at the moment to 12. Glendale's had some opportunities, but some turnovers when they flirted with the try line. And give SaberCats certainly some credit there defensively as well.
The difference to me, and obviously for Glendale, a team at the beginning of the season anticipated they would be back in the playoffs. They would be playing for a title, trying to bring home that shield. They're disappointed, and that's obvious. They're still playing hard. They're playing for pride, and they're not going to get into the playoffs. But Houston is just a different animal, a different cat than we saw early. They're playing fast. They're playing with confidence. I really hope this is the SaberCats side we're lucky enough to see come next season. After so many losses early in the season.
Obviously a big question after this week wraps up for Houston. Who is your man moving forward in that manager role? Paul Emmerich's done a fine job. I know he hasn't asked for it, but a lot of folks have done their best to try to clamor for him to get the full-time gig. The results certainly have been there. I think right now he's just enjoying the ride with a great group.
I got your inside.
And a lot of mutual respect between players and coach.
Fine.
I think most Cats fans would be very happy if Emmerich had that interim title removed.
Referee is resetting the scrum.
Glendale, it's going to be a different side the next year without Panoglio there on the front row.
Crouch.
Set to retire, Brendan Daly.
Fine.
Rumor is that he will as well.
Bench.
And another opportunity for the SaberCats. Although Sean Davies, the captain, will intervene for the Raptors to make sure they don't get just a free run at it with the advantage. Last time we saw this scenario is Windsor helping spark a try run for Beathy.
Again, the power of that forward pack for Houston. Incredible. The men in black up front, 1 through 8. Windsor again sends it out. Wynn has the line out for Houston.
Okay.
13 meters out.
Houston.
Okay.
Maybe 14 meters from that try line. A try here in the final 5 minutes of the half. Be massive for the Cats.
Ball with Fawnana Schultz at the moment.
Sideways.
In that maul. And pardon me now. Sticking with the big man.
Ball's available.
Murphy trying to go in to free it up.
No. That's out.
Out to Connolly.
Good.
SaberCats already up by 12. Could they find their third try of the opening half? Windsor.
Oh my.
Murphy able to dial up Sean Windsor.
What a play. Absolutely outstanding. Usually it's Sam Windsor, the man who's doing the kicking. That time, incredible stuff from Connor Murphy. Beautiful ball over the top. And Windsor, the rook, able to run onto it. The Aussie there to dot it down. Another perfectly weighted kick. And you hear it. Connor Murphy, that is a touch. Imagine what he could do with the chipping wedge.
He had to detour through the posts. Still got there first.
And a huge try for Houston. The conversion, no trouble for Windsor. 24-5 Cats after trailing 5-3. It has been all Houston.
Sean Windsor splits the post twice on that score. And it is the SaberCats. Again, in their final home matchup on the year, now up by 19 with 3 unanswered tries.
Rook showing some young legs there. Houston doing it in a variety of ways.
Cleanly from Nieto. Still a couple more minutes for Glendale to try to find a spark to take them into the half.
I think right now Glendale just wants that halftime whistle.
Slots forward, advantage scrum.
Chance to head to the shed.
Oh, well fed. Perhaps a highlight along that far touchline. Able to get it out to Kruse.
I say that, Glendale, all of a sudden signs of life from the Raptors late here in this first half.
Now Raptors have the advantage. Weaving through traffic. As Terramai was able to eat up a lot of the meters. Back to White.
Talk about the line breaks, the tackles broken. That is Glendale Raptors rugby.
Can they finally find that punctuation? For the first time since Harley Davidson dotted it down.
Tackle now, let go!
And you see how well organized the SaberCats are defensively. Glendale moving in the wrong direction. They'll earn those meters back here with the run from Al Jabari.
So far, Houston, fantastic work.
White asking for it, gets it. Ball frees up. And again, need to be careful. Knock on was called.
Got a man down over there. Got 30 seconds.
They take another look here. Trying to intercept the pass. Sam Windsor, he's done everything tonight.
That is your knock on the SaberCats.
Tried to pick that one off. Just unable to secure it. You see the big man hands on hips, and understandably so. Valiant defending in the shadow of their own posts.
We can talk about how the heat and humidity of Houston is a home field advantage, but we're not going to pretend that these men grew up here.
Oh, you can also, the altitude of Glendale. There's so many things you can talk about being an advantage. And late in the season, they're not from here, most of them, but they've grown accustomed to it. They've been able to train in it.
Raptors still with time to dot one down before the break.
Here we go. Time should be on. Let's go, Stick. Last play. Yep.
Big here, final play of the half. Houston just looking to win this scrum, put boot to ball and go to the sheds. Dominant in the first 40 minutes.
The Glendale knock-on ultimately ending their pursuit of the try-zone. Can Murphy send it into touch? And that will send the SaberCats into their new locker room, up by 19 on Glendale. Let's check in with Austin Ivan.
Coach, your team's built a comfortable 3-score lead. How do you ensure they keep their foot on the gas pedal?
Need to tighten up things in attack, but our defense this first half has been great, and they're really fronting up well.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.
Short but sweet with the Cactus, Paul Emmerich. His men looking for a third straight victory, trying to get it done here at home as we've reached the halftime break.
Meet the next generation of studio fitness. Introducing Tough Mudder Boot Camp. Train together. See results faster than ever. Check one out or own one yourself.
Season 2 of Major League Rugby is up and running. 9 teams from across the U.S. and Canada battle it out every week for the right to hoist the MLR Shield.
One for the line. Look at this guy coming over.
The intensity, the drama, the buzz, you've got to love it. This is Rugby America. Get involved, get behind it. It's here to stay.
We are brothers, united by a shared passion to grow the sport of rugby. We assemble here, our home, AVEVA Stadium.
Once upon a time, there was a time when time stood still and you could pause the hustle and bustle to unwind with good music and a cold, refreshing beer. Well, friend, that time can now be any time thanks to Love Street Kolsch Style Blonde. It's a crisp, easy drinking, go-with-the-flow beer brewed with floral German hops. Hello. Well, hi there. When all you need is to kick back and give the soul some free time, all you need is Love Street. Brewed with love in Houston, Texas by the Carbach Brewing Company.
Hello, my name is Christopher Santarose. I'm the master instructor of United Taekwondo here in Katy, Texas. We teach Taekwondo to children and adults of all ages. We also have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Friday nights at 6:30. We look forward to meeting you and your family soon.
Killam Pest Control is your home's best defense against pesky insects. For more than 50 years, we've been stopping infestations before they start. Killam uses the most advanced techniques in pest control, like the Cetricon Termite Colony Elimination System, to stop bugs dead.
We've been using Killam Pest Control for over 5 years, and we've been extremely happy with our service. They're knowledgeable, and they really care about what they're doing.
Trust Killam Pest Control. Killam kills them.
Meet the next generation of studio fitness. Introducing Tough Mudder Boot Camp. Train together. See results faster than ever. Check one out or own one yourself.
Major League Rugby is brought to you by AVEVA. AVEVA, a global leader in engineering and industrial software. You can learn more about AVEVA at aveva.com. Baylor College of Medicine, Sports Medicine, proud to be the official healthcare provider of the Houston SaberCats. We know athletes because we are athletes. And Buffalo Specialties, if you can dream it, we can create it. Halftime at AVEVA Stadium, the SaberCats with the advantage against the visiting Glendale Raptors. Earlier today, our Austin Ivan had a chance to catch up with Lee Tedstone from AVEVA.
I'm with Lee Tedstone, the Vice President of AVEVA, one of the world's largest industrial engineering software companies. Welcome, Lee. Question for you. How was the process like of partnering with the Houston SaberCats to build this brand new stadium?
It was absolutely fantastic. You know, like any partnership, particularly when an organization or a league like the MLR is in its infancy, it's challenging. But, you know, the great thing about what the MLR is doing here in North America and what the Houston SaberCats are doing is they're really breaking new ground in terms of rugby. It's really good. It's exciting. We had some great conversations, some really good strategy meetings, and had some in terms of how we form our partnership, some really good innovations. So it's been a really, really good process.
How long ago did the process start?
Probably officially about 18 months ago, unofficially probably about 2 years ago, with many stakeholders, many different people involved in that process. So it's been a while in the making, and it's phenomenal to be here tonight at the AVEVA Stadium to see the launch of this, I think the second purpose-built rugby stadium in North America. Really cool.
Yes, the second ever rugby-specific stadium. How impressed are you with the way it turned out?
I'm absolutely amazed. Absolutely amazed. I mean, you know, the team here at the Houston SaberCats, Brian Colonna and the rest of the guys and girls have been absolutely stellar. Like I say, not without our challenges, but hey, look, that's how you do good things. You know, you challenge each other, you get on with it, you work at it, and yeah, it's a very, very proud moment. It's a great proud moment for me. It's a proud moment for AVEVA, but you know, more importantly, for the MLR, for the SaberCats, for the people of Houston, for the rugby players in Houston. I mean, it's a hub. It's a place to be. It's a place to come to that really contributes to the future development of rugby here in Houston.
You have a little bit of a rugby background. You played in college. How long have you loved the sport?
So I played just a little bit in college, but I've been a lifelong fan of rugby. You know, did a little bit of coaching, a little bit of playing, a huge amount of supporting, and I love the game. Right? You know, rugby is all about passion and commitment, and you know, it's a kind of rising tide floats all boats. You know, there's a shared view and a shared vision of, you know, performance all around, and how that makes you know, all the teams look better, how the league looks better. It's, you know, our fans integrate. It's a phenomenal game to be involved with.
AVEVA Stadium must be a good luck charm for the Houston SaberCats. They won their game here a few days ago. How impressed are you with the way they've played the past few games of the season?
I've been really impressed. You know, look, this is the first full season of MLR. It's been a challenging start to the season for the Houston SaberCats, but you know, they've really formed now as a team. We saw that in the result against NOLA. We saw it last week against Austin, and you know, we're hoping, with due respect to Glendale, we're hoping to replicate that success tonight.
Thank you so much, Lee, for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the game.
Thank you very much.
We are brothers, united by a shared passion to grow the sport of rugby. We assemble here, our home, AVEVA Stadium.
Welcome, Dynamo fans, to Cube 57. Patty Smith, John Granato, and Paul Gallant.
We're really excited to be broadcasting 30 Houston Dynamo games this season. We were the Dynamo home last year. We're proud to be it again, and we hope that you'll be along with us, whether they're here at BBVA Compass Stadium or on the road all season long.
That's right, Channel 57 or 653 on Xfinity. Come join us.
We know athletes because we are athletes. At the Sports Medicine Clinic at the Baylor College of Medicine, we provide top-level care to athletes of all levels in Houston and around the country. As the official healthcare provider of the Houston SaberCats, our doctors and sports medicine healthcare professionals are dedicated to safely enhancing our athletes' performance while promoting.
Meet the next generation of studio fitness. Introducing Tough Mudder Boot Camp. Train together. See results faster than ever. Check one out or own one yourself.
We are brothers, united by a shared passion to grow the sport of rugby. We assemble here, our home, AVEVA Stadium.
Once upon a time, there was a time when time stood still and you could pause the hustle and bustle to unwind with good music and a cold, refreshing beer. Well, friend, that time can now be any time thanks to Love Street Kolsch Style Blonde. It's a crisp, easy drinking, go-with-the-flow beer brewed with floral German hops. Hello. Well, hi there. When all you need is to kick back and give the soul some free time, all you need is Love Street. Brewed with love in Houston, Texas by the Karbach Brewing Company.
Meet the next generation of studio fitness. Introducing Tough Mudder Boot Camp. Train together. See results faster than ever. Check one out or own one yourself.
Halftime here in Houston. 3 unanswered tries for the SaberCats have them with the advantage in front of the home crowd here at brand new AVEVA Stadium. It's the home finale. One more matchup this weekend for Houston. For the Raptors, this is the season finale here in year 2 of Major League Rugby.
We are brothers, united by a shared passion to grow the sport of rugby. We assemble here, our home, AVEVA Stadium.
Welcome, Dynamo fans, to Cube 57. Patty Smith, John Granato, and Paul Gallant.
We're really excited to be broadcasting 30 Houston Dynamo games this season. We were the Dynamo home last year. We're proud to be it again, and we hope that you'll be along with us, whether they're here at BBVA Compass Stadium or on the road all season long.
That's right, Channel 57 or 653 on Xfinity. Come join us.
We know athletes because we are athletes. At the Sports Medicine Clinic at the Baylor College of Medicine, we provide top-level care to athletes of all levels in Houston and around the country. As the official healthcare provider of the Houston SaberCats, our doctors and sports medicine healthcare professionals are dedicated to safely enhancing our athletes' performance while promoting recovery and injury prevention. Getting you back on the field, in the game, and ready to roar.
Once upon a time, there was a time when time stood still and you could pause the hustle and bustle to unwind with good music and a cold, refreshing beer. Well, friend, that time can now be any time thanks to Love Street Kolsch Style Blonde. It's a crisp, easy drinking, go-with-the-flow beer brewed with floral German hops. Hello. Well, hi there. When all you need is to kick back and give the soul some free time, all you need is Love Street. Brewed with love in Houston, Texas by the Karbach Brewing Company.
Hello, my name is Christopher Senarose. I'm the master instructor of United Taekwondo here in Katy, Texas. We teach Taekwondo to children and adults of all ages. We also have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Friday nights at 6:30. We look forward to meeting you and your family soon.
Players starting to reemerge onto the pitch here at AVEVA Stadium as we are under the lights for this midweek matchup between Houston and Glendale. Kit, it was an early 3 points for the SaberCats, but all of a sudden DTS with a classic out to Harley Davidson.
Incredible stuff there from Takano Simpson. Beautiful offload to Davidson. That made it 5-3 in favor of the Raptors, but then Houston took over. Big Deaver going across, rumbling for the try to put Houston on top. A stab kick through from Windsor, able to play it to himself. A beautiful ball off to Vithi. Vithi needing no help, splitting the final two for the Raptors right between the posts. Another conversion for Windsor. He was perfect with the boot in the first half, not just between the uprights, but You saw the stab kick as well. The final try, it was Connor Murphy with a little kick over the top on to Sam Windsor, and Rook there to dot it down 24-5. Cats on top.
And one final stand from Houston.
Yeah, there was a chance in that final minute. You see how close the Raptors were able to get, but fantastic defending from the Cats just shy of the try line. And they were unable to get across were the Raptors.
These are the men available, as we did not see anybody check in during those opening 40 minutes, but expect to see the benches emptied at some point here in this matchup. By the way, big apologies on my part. I know Sam Windsor, I've been spending a little bit too much time north of the border in Sean Windsor territory. But obviously Sam Windsor, the myth, the legend, the man who scored as well as has been splitting the uprights.
I just call him the Rook.
I believe I have called him Sean a couple of times. But apologies to Windsor and also to his faithful audience as well. But I expect
Power will be very offended.
We'll have a chance. Just imagine all the things Dan has called him on purpose throughout the past couple of years. Mr. Nickname himself.
Important for the Raptors to get off to a good start in the second half if they're going to have a shot in this one. They need to find some points. Didn't have a lot of possession. This is the second best offense, second best attack in all of Major League Rugby by the stats. A team that averages a try about every 19 minutes, but they're only able to find one in the first 40.
So what kind of answer can Glendale come up with here to start the second half? White.
I'd like to see more of that. Let White, the big boys, bully ahead, try to draw in that SaberCats defense, and then spin it out wide to the speed.
How about Sam Windsor lowering the shoulder into the prop of Noah Barker? He's not just there for the leg and the looks.
He can do it all. He's really proven that in this match. Seen it in every facet of the game. For all the talk about Houston's offense, the defense has been outstanding. You see that black wall closing defensively.
They called that initial feed a lateral. It was close. It's a moot point. Subsequently into touch.
You mentioned some of the changes in the backs. No Johnny Ryberg for Glendale, among others. Just not that connection we're used to seeing from the Raptors, getting the ball through hands and out quickly.
Hey Brad, if you're on, man, those LEDs are killing all the video.
O'Toole across the way. Feed the line out. And Derek Summers, like all of our officials, so clear in the communication.
Houston there off the bounce. Houston coming up with a try, even though they were down a man in the latter stages of the first half. Just shows how dominant the Cats were in the first 40.
Out to Deaver, who had that early try with brute force. Christopher Coyle, one of the first men off the bench for Paul Emmerich. You know, as great of a career as Emmerich had, both in the States and over the seas, when he himself knows what it was like to be a foreign player. He was a couple weeks back with Rugby Wrap-Up, and Matt McCarthy, who does a great job chatting with all these personalities in the league, reminding him he didn't start his pursuit of rugby till he was 19 years old out of Iowa.
That used to be the case, and you saw that Americans weren't picking up the game until they got to college. Few of them had the opportunity to play the high school level, and that is not the case anymore with these young academies. You're seeing 12-year-olds, sometimes 10-year-olds out there starting, and that's what the U.S. needs, not just for the growth of Major League Rugby, but for the USA Eagles as well. If we're going to get them to compete, be one of the best countries in the world, which is what we're all hoping, it's all about getting younger players more and sooner on the pitch.
Matt McCarthy also insisted every team have a player coach, and that's how you earn a bonus point, is when you have a legend come out. Obviously, in Austin, they have Suniola, who has dabbled in some minutes.
Last year, Pedri Vandenberg, the Springbok legend, held that role for Austin.
And we have a knock-on.
Scoreless to start off here in the opening moments of the second half. We'll bring things back with the knock-on indicated a moment ago.
not the Raptors team their fans have grown accustomed to seeing.
Yeah, I got you. Thank you,
I know that they're out of the race. Really nothing to play for with the exception of pride, but they have it. They have it in spades. But a team that is just, it's been Jekyll and Hyde. If they've been in Infinity Park, they're one team. If they're away, they're quite another.
This upcoming weekend is going to be every screen available on Major League Rugby, with 3 of the matchups really influencing not just seeding, but which 4 of the 5 remaining teams in the hunt actually get into that postseason push.
And when you have 4 teams all with 53 points, Rugby United New York, Toronto, Seattle, and NOLA Gold.
Advantage collapse on the far side.
Obviously the collapse scrum. Houston can get creative here. At the moment, no need. On a Schultz straight ahead.
Good coach there.
Derek Summers will bring it back.
San Diego's already secured their spot in the semifinals.
Points. Number 1, just hold it up.
4 teams battling for 3 spots.
And it will be Samuel Windsor looking to split the sticks again. I mean, if you're a fan, you love tries, but if you pay your hard-earned money to see Sam Windsor at a match and he doesn't actually kick a penalty goal, you have to be a little disappointed even if your team is winning.
I think you get a refund if Windsor doesn't get a penalty goal, or at least get a conversion. Pretty sure I read that in the fine print.
He gave them the early 3-0 advantage. Since then, they've been scoring tries. He's been making conversions.
This makes sense for Houston.
Next line out, just stay out of the gap.
Everything
Just
going
watch
your
it.
way.
When you
Have
change
some
your position,
possession,
just stay
able
out
to
of the
take
gap.
some air out of the ball and let Windsor do what he does best. See if he can tack on 3 more.
Still 1 try shy of a bonus point. Season opener this year, already in form. Remember when he went 7 for 7 on penalty goals against Austin for all 21 of the points for Houston in that rivalry clinch.
That was at Austin, on the road in inclement weather. It was cold and wet down in the capital city of the Lone Star State, and Windsor just put on an exhibition via the tee. He continues to do so here. He is perfect, putting boot to ball right through the uprights.
Okay, good to go.
And the SaberCats about to get it right back as you see some of the changes taking place here in the early minutes of the second half. Could not handle it cleanly. A knock on and a break here for Glendale.
Knock on SaberCats. It will be a
He
scrum
comes
put
off
in
taking the
Glendale.
place of Malifa, and Glendale needs to get something going quickly. We're already in a hole at half, trailing by 19. It's extended by 3.
Your captain at scrum half. Rare scrum here for Glendale tonight. Not rare field position for the Raptors, though. It's just SaberCats have not been too welcoming into their own try zone.
Defense has done its job. They've all been on the same page. The communication. Letting the Raptors travel deep into their territory, and you see the push in the scrum. Houston again there with the set piece advantage.
Early touch for Campbell Johnstone.
Ball. Ball's on the deck, so let it come, Black.
Al-Jabari.
No, you're not supporting your weight. You go clear off on it. Hey. Relax. Hey, you're on the ground. You've been penalized.
SaberCats are off their feet.
You can go for the ball. You've got to let go. Need to play the ball. You can't smother him on the deck like that.
Not just vice captain, but maybe vice referee Luke White coming in to help.
You know the rules. Sean, just careful with your hands there.
As McGee will try to set up a
You're not supporting your weight, though.
line out.
Beautiful kick there, and the best opportunity, certainly of the second half for the Raptors.
5 meters from the goal line.
The ball goes in touch inside the 5, so they'll bring it back to the 5.
This is where Glendale, you expect, as good as they are in the line out, take this one cleanly, set the maul up. So far, Houston's defense has been able to bow its neck. Can they again in this situation?
Houston trying to win its 3rd straight match, longest winning streak in the club's young Major League Rugby history.
He's taking that down.
Just incredible stuff from Houston. What a job.
Swallowed up by the SaberCats defense.
Jamie Deaver in there, the big man right in the mix, already a try.
Gold 6, black 5, black 3, sub.
More changes coming for both sides.
Into the ball did not come out.
See Beecham come on,
Number 20 and number
along with Paul Mullen for the home side.
Beecham and number 17, Paul Mullen.
Connolly and Comtats days are done.
Good performance, especially from Connolly.
All right, here we go. One, hit him! Sir, hit him! Crap me. Every time. Well, then adjust. You good with that? If he doesn't come off the
David Williams makes his own changes for Glendale.
Crouch! Right there. Crouch!
Not the smooth start Derek Summers was looking for here on the scrum. Deja vu.
Say one thing, that scrum machine in Houston, that thing's been beaten up this year. These boys are putting some work.
You know, the first time we were here at AVEVA, the grass had not taken root, and the scrum, obviously the strength of this club, but was not something they could utilize in that matchup against Seattle. A loss to the defending champs. But once you have a playable surface, that scrum is one to be reckoned with, whether it be at home or on the road. It travels.
Five.
And credit the groundskeeping crew here. This is a carpet, absolutely beautiful. It has taken a root. It is smooth as silk.
Looked great on national TV this last week for the continuation of the Texas Derby. Ball spills loose, opportunistic. Benolio.
See if the longtime Raptor hooker can find something here in his final game, that Glendale jersey.
Just one score all night so far for Glendale. It briefly gave them that 5-3 advantage when Davidson dotted it down in the opposite try zone.
The strength of Glendale is the backs. They just haven't had opportunities, haven't had touches. When they've had the ball, there have been black jerseys swarming them. No opportunity, no time to get up to speed.
Freed up by Davies. Out to Daly. Raptors have not been able to take advantage of these moments. Perhaps here. 50-50 ball, but no, winds up in the arms of the SaberCats. They'll bring it back again. Advantage indicated by our referee, Derek Summers.
And that's not traditionally what you see from Glendale. McGee trying to find the corner. But not a lot of options for Glendale. Things just not going their way. A beautiful ball played. Able to take it backwards. Esdale there to collect it.
It's the last time you're going to shout at me. Oh, me? It was. Just, you hear me? Yeah.
William McGee coming off the bench today. Being informed it may be a short outing off the bench if he doesn't continue to route his questions through his captain. So here are the Raptors 10 meters out.
Tunnel, here we go. Yeah, here we go.
They've been in this position before and have been unable to come away with points.
Clean.
Turn back over.
Still with Glendale.
I'm going to chop. It's clearly off the feet, and then he's continue to play the ball. Off their feet to play it. Yeah.
Sam now, the ambassador for the SaberCats. It appears Glendale is going to try to set up another line out.
We clear? You good? Come on.
You have to play to your strengths. Houston has been able to do that very well with the scrum. Glendale been clean in the line-out takes, but they've been unable to turn it into points deep in SaberCats territory.
Sean, wait till it's over to join.
8 meters out.
Penalty. Advantage.
Again, Raptors find themselves playing with house money here. It just has not led to points.
Will it here?
Still advantage.
2 meters out.
Back up.
Looking for their first score of the second half.
Advantage. Offside, number 4.
The rough, one of the real strengths of Glendale, but we haven't seen it tonight.
Multiple infractions in this pursuit against the defense of the SaberCats. Raptors trying to get into that try zone. They'll aim for the corner, playing the advantage. And a hop that just won't favor them. Did they get the pressure? They do.
Nicely done there. Again, having to go to the boot. Houston, so good stringing things out defensively. There's been no room close to the touch lines where generally the Raptors are able to exploit their speed. But you see it here, able to pull it out. They were just pounding ahead, sucks in that Houston defense. And sent over the top, a beautiful ball. And DTS, who's had himself a night there, able to get hands to it for the try.
And it is ruled that he's able to get that ball, apply the downward pressure before it sneaks out of play.
Yeah, very nicely done there. Dylan Takeda Simpson, the Kiwi. Seen him with a beautiful offload that led to the first try for Harley Davidson in Glendale, and now comes up with 5 of his own.
Raptors not settling for any boring tries here tonight.
We've seen some incredible stuff. I mean, the try from Fifi where he ran right through Windsor, his beautiful stab kick. It's been a heck of an outing.
And now to the boot of McGee. Raptors tonight 0 for 1 on conversions. 0 for 2. But at least Glendale back on the board. Let's see if that gives them some optimism. Moving into the final 20-plus minutes.
And there's still time. It's 17-point lead, not insurmountable by any stretch of the imagination, as talented as the attack is for Glendale. One thing we know for sure, if they're going to come back, DTS is going to have a hand in it.
Still in.
One of our initial try scorers.
Go back.
Out of the match. As 2/3 of the bigs up front now, Deaver and O'Toole come out.
Advantage. Cross forward.
And that's a forward pass.
Play the scrum. Forward there.
The connections between the backs just
No,
not there tonight.
The first defense was
the man who leads the league in tries. Ryberg not in the starting 15, not on the reserves bench either. A lot of changes from the side that lost to Toronto last week.
Yep.
Again, the schedule makers originally had Glendale as the odd team out for the final weekend of play. With 9 teams, obviously one will have the burden of not participating on even the busiest of weekends this year in Major League Rugby. That'll change next year. But a postponed match due to weather. Glendale never had to travel to Houston to get stuck at the airport a month back. But here instead their season extended by a few days into this Wednesday evening meeting with the SaberCats, whom they defeated back in Colorado earlier this year in April. SaberCats trying to reclaim the 5 points they just surrendered.
The scrum continues to be all Houston.
Pick up a try bonus along the way. Windsor, little dummy.
I think when that schedule came out, there were some Raptors fans who thought that maybe a bye week heading into the playoffs for them. They figured that'd be coming at a great time before the semifinals. Unfortunately, well, it'll matter not, as they're not going to be one of those Final Four teams remaining.
This season has been full of emotions. If you're a New Orleans fan, you go from fireworks early in the year, having your run atop the table. You slip late. Right now, you question, will we even be among the four? San Diego's provided nice consistency until that hiccup north of the border, but proved to not be a fluke. Toronto's continued their form, ending other winning streaks, building their own 6-match unbeaten.
Yeah, talking about that team north of the border, coaches and players always say it's about getting hot at the right time. No one is hot as the Arrows.
Al-Jabari among the starters still in. And just mishandled. It is a knock-on advantage here for Houston. Ball went backwards, but they'll bring it back.
Lost forward, scrum here.
There's a knock-on by Glendale.
Yeah, Toronto started this year on the road. Folks speculated they probably need to win half their matches, as we have reached the 1 hour mark. Our final break of the matchup for hydration here in Houston. SaberCats up by 17.
We are brothers, united by a shared passion to grow the sport of rugby. We assemble here, our home, AVEVA Stadium.
Welcome, Dynamo fans, to Cube 57. Patty Smith, John Granato, and Paul Gallant.
We're really excited to be broadcasting 30 Houston Dynamo games this season. We were the Dynamo home last year. We're proud to be it again, and we hope that you'll be along with us, whether they're here at BBVA Compass Stadium or on the road all season long.
That's right, Channel 57 or 653 on Xfinity. Come join us.
Okay.
Our men hydrated for the final push. Let's check back in along the sideline with Austin Ivan. Austin?
This is Paul Emmerich's 4th game as interim head coach for the Houston SaberCats, or like his players like to call him, the Cactus. I talked with Coach before the game to see how he got the nickname, and he said he was a prickly guy on the field and hard to catch when he played, and so that's what they called him. He said it came along in '06, and ever since then, no pun intended, it stuck around. Kit, Lincoln, you guys have any nicknames?
Austin, well done. Let me check my mentions on Twitter to see if I have any nicknames, especially after the snafu with Mr. Windsor. Great to have you with us. What a fun journey it has been in Major League Rugby, as we welcomed in 2 teams that, well, I think a lot of New York fans and Toronto fans thought they'd have instant success, may have been humbled a little bit to see just how good the whole league was, but the rest of the league has benefited from those additions, and right now, those 2 teams at the end of the year, Houston 3 tries tonight from 3 different men. Glendale with the most recent try coming in the second half for the visitors.
Roll live from again. Oh, it's how you face him. Both of you. It's both of you. Time off. Time off. Let's just get both of them. Well, I mean, I know, but you got blood all over your face, though. You got blood all over your face. No, I mean, we have a physio right here.
Not necessarily his own blood.
Time off. You just got blood all over.
See Paul Mullen as well.
Yeah. We're not. No, I'm.
Glendale making another change as well. Carlo Venason coming on at scrum half rather, for Glendale.
See Connor Cook among the fresh kits on for Glendale.
Yep.
Again, I don't think Glendale missing out on the postseason is much a comment about the Raptors, as all the expectations that we've seen throughout their rich history, as much as it is they have set a bar and the rest of the league responded.
couldn't agree more. And last year, you had teams who were head and shoulders better than everyone else. You had teams like Seattle, like Glendale, that were really, from the beginning of the season to the very end, they were the cream of the crop. That hasn't been the case this year. You talk about that great run from Noah. They may not make the playoffs. San Diego, you have teams like the defending champion Seattle. They may not make the playoffs because everyone is risen up. And it's great to see in Major League Rugby year 2 the quality across the board.
The cliche, defense wins championships. Another D word, depth, is obviously with the prolonged season this year, almost twice the length of a year ago. And moving forward, that will be the standard. And we will see more development, another D here in the States moving forward.
You're going to have to. You're going to have to see deeper rosters, the teams that have been successful. You look at San Diego, who's already the one team that's booked their spot in the playoffs. They have the depth of roster. Toronto has had it to weather those games on the road and all the ARC players gone away. You're going to need 35, maybe 40 players of caliber if you're going to compete in this league in the future.
Crusade trying to cut it back in. It's a Glendale team that at any moment could strike quickly. And again, make this a match in which they could be stealing the 4 points or more.
I like what we're seeing from Denason here, who's come in. He was the starting scrum half in that loss against Toronto, but he's quick to the ruck, getting clean ball out, and that is a trademark of Glendale. 3 seconds or less getting that ball out.
There are multiple players down right now, and it's getting a little too close to the action. Otherwise, Derek Summers would have allowed play to continue, but he even indicates we're just getting too close to a couple of Houston players.
Pair of Cats down on the pitch.
And that's what's unique about rugby. You will see a man down or two, and as long as play is not near them, they try to continue the pace of play. But right now, you also do have a Raptor down.
That's what makes it so fan-friendly. The people that aren't used to rugby, when are the timeouts? When are the stoppages?
We get the hooker for black, and then
very few and far between.
That's 7 for goal.
For Glendale, Al Jabari is down. For Houston, your backup hooker and Gouda. Good to see both men back on their feet.
Amro Gouda is back in play.
Okay, let's go, black.
And that was Malone Al-Jabari.
Yeah, just a little bit back here. The game inventions, here we go. Yeah.
And we have time back on.
That's why I need a flag or something. Yeah, yeah, right? Yeah, we're good to go.
Yeah, here we go, boys. Come on now.
Restart here with the scrum for the Raptors.
Young South African has done a good job.
Crouch.
Second. And
Just some product placement.
Fine.
Jamo, get off quick.
Set.
Glendale needs to take advantage of this set of possession, going through the phases. They can't come up empty-handed yet again. Too many times they've been deep in Cats territory and come away with nothing, but they will not here.
Raptors getting back into this one. Dotting it down for a second time today, Harley Davidson.
For the Raptors.
One of the best names in all of sport. Davidson right through the Cats defense. A nice run. We'll see if that triggers the comeback. The conversion can make it a 10-point game. Beautiful ball out. Just look at Davidson. A little, again, oh, who else? DTS, the jump step, the offload. The second time we have seen that combination. DTS playing the distributor, drawing the defense in, creating room for Davidson, who's off to the races.
Now this one is not over. Oh for 2 on conversions are the Raptors. McGee missed his last effort. Slightly more favorable angle here. And the flags are up for the first time.
All of a sudden, it's just a 10-point game. Remember, this was a 27-5 game at the break. Excuse me, 24-5. And Windsor, with that penalty goal, tacked 3 on, the largest lead for Houston just 4 minutes into the second half. Glendale waking up. The only question is it too late?
You last saw Glendale this past weekend up in Toronto. They headed straight to Texas. A short turnaround. Played their final home match at Infinity Park against Seattle, and a rematch of sorts of last year's championship.
That was essentially a must-win for Glendale. If they would have won that match against the Seawolves, they would have held their future in their own hands. They did not.
Every SaberCat touching the ball on this one, and it's Windsor touching it down.
Windsor with the try, but with Vithi doing the dirty work. A great run, able to keep his footing long enough for Windsor to come into support. And what a response. What a quick response from Houston after conceding the try. And oh my, look at that right there. Pangelinen. It may have been Coyle, excuse me. Coyle with a beautiful little flip back. And now we are seeing some flying rugby from both of these sides.
Darren.
Outstanding.
Harlem Globetrotters, take note.
And that's with the round ball.
Yeah, the only part of that team effort that didn't match up was just the strength of Vithi. Just power. And we're back to the boot of Windsor. They'll take those boots out to Utah with the SaberCats this weekend. Quick turnaround. 3 matches, 8 days. That season opening win. This is well wide. Left of.
Scott, you handle that?
Cooler heads prevail. And knock on. Put a halt to this for Glendale.
Can't avoid it. Can't avoid it. We'll play the scrum.
And it's a knock on by Glendale.
Time off.
Scrum. SaberCats, we have time off.
Let's see if they go back to that earlier altercation.
13. No. Give me the captain. 13.
He's going to go check with his
Captain,
assistant, Scott Green.
Okay, it doesn't matter what started it in the tackle. Then you play him after the ball. Then he continues to play you. Both of you are at fault. You both need to relax. Settle down. Let's play. All good?
I want to give Vithi some credit. There was a moment when all of a sudden it just clicked, and despite some issues earlier this season, he realized he needed to let it go.
He did, and you alluded to what happened earlier this season, and not only did he put himself in a bad position, he put his team in a bad position, and that's what happens if you don't keep your head. It's a tough sport. Things are going to happen, and credit Windsor as well, wisely getting between the two. The veteran understands how important Vithi is to this team. They can ill afford to lose him, but if something happened, it may not be just for this season, it would be for the beginning of next as well.
Crouch.
Connor Murphy looking to steer this ship perhaps for the full 80 minutes tonight.
We haven't said a lot about Murphy, but he's done a very good job commanding things as a scrum half. That beautiful kick that Windsor was able to dot down for 5.
Wheel around.
And another scrum here for Houston.
To Houston, winning the scrum.
Season winding down.
All right.
And a frustrating end to the season for Glendale, no doubt. A team that thought they would be in the playoffs. They thought they would be competing for a championship. They lost in the final last year to Seattle. Not going to have that chance in 2019. They're going to have to wait until 2020.
Loose head. Just come here. Just come here. We just had a conversation about calming down, and then the thing pops off here. I'm telling you right now, if we have another incident, I'm going to pick 2 players. You're both going to go. Whoever starts it, you're both going to go.
That's fair.
Yeah? You good with that? Yeah? You good with that? Okay, we're going to restart with a penalty for a scrum wheel. Yeah? Control. Yeah.
You mentioned it before the game that it would be 4, 5, 6 seconds, and then you say release.
They're still moving though.
Yeah, but they're just walking around.
You mentioned obviously even with the season wrapping up, the threat is infractions carrying over to next year, affecting these teams and these individuals. Like a clean finish. Glendale looked like they were sparking a comeback. To Houston's credit, as you noted, they had the quick response, and that's a different mentality at this point of the year for Houston.
It is, and we didn't see that from Houston early on, a team that was relying on all of their offense from Sam Windsor. They weren't getting the tries. They've been able to find that in-goal area. That's been a difference, but it's been more composed from Houston. They've been playing all 15 on the pitch together. It hasn't just been Windsor really playing as a team, and at this level, the caliber of this league, you need everybody out there on the same page.
Sam Windsor looking to delight the home crowd from midfield. Well within his range. It veers right off the mark.
Almost balls back in play.
And Glendale looking to take advantage in transition. Johnstone. A big collision. Al Jabari right into the teeth of a couple of SaberCats. And Jabari a little slow to pick himself up.
Physicality is not toned down a bit. Still the crunching tackles here in the 71st minute.
9-10.
Penalty, Glendale. Goal against Houston for not running away.
Hard running here for Glendale. Trying to end the season on their own terms. Davidson already a pair of tries tonight. Connor Murphy working out a cramp. There's Jake Turnbull not allowing anyone to pass. And that's what your fullback's there for. Glenasau into the tunnel of Pesdale. Not going down easily.
Initial tackling. 18, obstructing the cleanout.
A few times we called Glenasau's name tonight. Nice touch, a good run, and as we've grown accustomed to seeing from he and his countryman Vithi, the offloads, just a thing of beauty. Highlight reel quality offloads have been a plenty in this one.
Yeah, both of these clubs responsible for putting on quite the demonstration of ways to feed your teammates.
We've seen it from DTS. SBW would be proud.
Ball went straight out the back.
Final 10 minutes.
It will be Glendale's footing.
You're being sub. Connor, you're sub, yeah? Okay.
And Connor Murphy, who's down, just could not work out the cramp, as there will be a new scrum half for Houston. But this scrum belongs to Glendale.
23, Kelly Goldberg is entering play.
I believe Pangelinan will move up and take over as the scrum half for Houston. Kohlberg comes off the bench.
Crouch.
Talk about commitment. Kohlberg drives from Dallas to Houston to play for this side.
No, he's gone down here.
More, a little bit more.
Okay, time up. You're bleeding. It needs to get sorted.
Doc.
He's still bleeding.
Pretty soon, head bandages will be a part of the official kit for the SaberCats.
That's the second time Mullen has had to be tended to.
We have time off for a blood injury.
Trying to clean it up enough to where he can finish this one.
I can't, well, fuck it, let's do it. None of us are going to make the playoff. We might as well fucking get it on.
I won't name these sports by name, but there's somewhere stretchers come out for a hangnail. And you can beg for these gentlemen to come off.
These are the most amazing, most complete athletes that you're going to find in any sport in the entire world. You talk about the aerobic capacity, being able to run for 80 minutes, the anaerobic, the power, the strength, what they're able to do in the scrum. Just quite simply, they are the most complete athletes in any sport. And I don't think there's an argument to be made any other way about that.
You and I have seen it firsthand. A competitive match like this, and the way it ends is both teams dining together. As once the 80 minutes are over, the competition complete. There's just something unique about this sport.
Part of what makes it great, it's so difficult to play, that mutual respect, the honor that's a part of it. And you respect your opponent. If they're out there giving up their body and working hard, for 80 minutes it's a war, but after that, you can sit down and dine together.
Leave it on the deck. It's good.
Glendale took the first meeting 52-44 back home. From one rugby-specific venue to another. A gift here from Mikesville.
Looks like in the first 10 minutes we may see that kind of shootout tonight, but things, at least point-wise, have calmed down a bit, certainly in the second half.
Chris Coyle, your scrum half these days for the SaberCats. Oh, fortunate hop for Houston. Beathy.
Houston again going to the boot, playing over the top and able to run on top of it.
Kalina Sal will claw it out and assess his options here. Cut inside from Garber.
I'd love to see Conley out there getting a touch in space.
Oh, just mistimed.
+4. +4.
Charlie Conley out there playing as a wing.
He's always identified as a wing.
Tank.
Just reverse.
No one would listen.
You got guys off the ball pushing people.
Okay.
Have a look. He's pushing him off the ball. Tank. To calm down. It's going to spark up. Go.
And Holland is coming back into play.
Window growing narrow for a comeback for Glendale. Trying to snap Houston's win streak. We came into this Wednesday night already knowing the last 5 teams still in the postseason hunt.
Hats off to Houston. On this win streak, the longest in the SaberCats history, a chance to add to it tonight. Who knows, maybe even add one more as they travel out to Utah this weekend. They can pick up a season-ending victory in the Wasatch Mountains. That would be something.
How many times today did we see Glendale flirting with the try zone and the SaberCats just weren't going to allow it?
That's a great point. 3 times in the first half, Glendale had the ball inside the Houston 22, and they couldn't come away with points on any of those occasions.
One of the many cuts.
Who was that? 8? Was that the 8? Was that 8?
SaberCats have selected to
Put the
scrum.
ball in his hands.
Few bumps and bruises tonight.
Handling the ball in the scrum early. Yeah.
And Houston's going to have another quick turnaround and a road trip out to Utah.
Oh, issue for Houston, and the season coming to an end far too soon.
It's not as bad. Crouch! Bind!
Houston fans wondering what if this side had been able to find this form a few weeks ago, they'd be competing for a playoff spot.
Different hooker and props, same result for the SaberCats.
2 minutes ago. Here, hold the weight. Here we go. Here we go.
Trying to show their depth in the scrum here.
Because we're too wide, my boy. I know. Get it here. Guys, it starts with the... You said that's not Mark is here, my boy. Hey, Mark. There. Are we happy? All right. Okay. Okay. That's okay. Yeah.
My call, boys. I got you. Big call.
Crouch.
And sick. EJ.
Bind.
I'm with you, Noah.
Set.
Coyle gets his cue.
Let's use it. Stay behind. Back.
Back up ahead, a couple meters short. Meeson. Can Glendale return the favor and keep the SaberCats out here?
Short.
Houston inching forward, perhaps a phase away.
Held up.
And we'll bring this back out to the 5.
Nicely done by Glendale, able to hold that one up. Houston trying to submarine underneath. You saw Mike Sell there waiting. He was hoping for a chance to dive across. Good work from the Raptors defensively. Maybe their final defensive effort of the season.
He's watching.
Houston wants one more try in 2019 at AVEVA Stadium.
Crouch.
Weather delays,
Bind.
but ultimately the wait was worth it.
Set.
For the grand opening of the new home this year of Houston's Major League Rugby franchise.
Let's use.
Coyle sends it out. Ball spills loose.
Nah, he's even. Plus forward.
So Glendale now with the scrum coming up here as we approach the final minute.
Glendale waiting to hear that they've reached the 80-minute mark from our referee Derek Summers. They're gonna have to win this scrum first.
Well, you look back at this season, it'll come to a conclusion here for the Raptors, but still so many highlights and memories left for their fans in year 2 of Major League Rugby. And it'll leave them hungry in the offseason and anxious for year 3 to come around.
Bind. Set.
Upon the conclusion of this one, stay tuned. We'll have a chat with our man of the match. I'm told it will not be a Toronto arrow.
He's tackled. Take him down.
Ball still in play. SaberCats can still strike. But their fans soon enough will rejoice. A 3-match win streak. And there is your punctuation on the home slate here at AVEVA Stadium. SaberCats almost lead from wire to wire. Victorious tonight in Texas.
What a job from Houston these last few weeks of the season. One more match heading up to Utah this weekend to wrap things up. And an outstanding win tonight at home in a full 80 minutes dominated by the home team.
Franklin, a few highlights for your household names for the Raptors, as well as we've seen a full 80 minutes. Back with our man of the match when we return.
AVEVA, proudly sponsoring Houston SaberCats Rugby. With over 16,000 customers and 4,400 employees across the globe, we have delivered unrivaled excellence for more than 50 years. In an environment that's increasing in complexity, the one constant is the need for change. Change driven by new demands, by the desire to do things.
We know athletes because we are athletes. At the Sports Medicine Clinic at the Baylor College of Medicine, we provide top-level care to athletes of all levels in Houston and around the country. As the official healthcare provider of the Houston SaberCats, our doctors and sports medicine healthcare professionals are dedicated to safely enhancing our athletes' performance while promoting recovery and injury prevention. Getting you back on the field, in the game, and ready to roar.
Season 2 of Major League Rugby is up and running. 9 teams from across the U.S. and Canada battle it out every week for the right to hoist the MLR Shield.
One for the line. Look at this guy coming over.
The crowd has gone wild. The intensity, the drama, the buzz. You've got to love it. This is Rugby America. Get involved. Get behind it. It's here to stay.
Well, plenty of fireworks during the 80 minutes and the post-match celebration as well here at AVEVA Stadium. Lincoln Rose, Kim McConaughey with you. SaberCats take this one 32-17, splitting the home-and-home series against the Raptors here in 2019. Our man of the match, Sam Windsor, is with Austin Ivan. Let's toss it down to those two.
Sam, you were a one-man band tonight, doing a little bit of everything. You had a couple tries, you assisted on another, a few conversions, and then a penalty goal. What's the key to doing it all?
I get the credit for it. Okay, but it's the hard work leading up to that stuff. We've got a tight bunch of boys. It's been a pretty rocky 4 weeks and 5 weeks for us. You know, we set ourselves a target of winning out the season once sort of we had a little hiccup there with coaching changes and stuff. But obviously, full credit to the boys. We train hard, and everything's coming together. And it was only a matter of time. You know, we got a great set of skills, very talented bunch of guys, and it just took a bit of time for us to click. Unfortunately, a little too late in the season, but it's going to leave a nice taste in the mouth. AVEVA Stadium opening night. Lee Tedstone and his crew have done a great job putting this together. The facility is amazing. It's only going to get better. The crowd's out in numbers on a Wednesday night. It's a pleasure to play rugby in front of people like this. So happy to get over the try line a couple of times and give the crowd a bit of entertainment. So a lot of fun.
You really did have a complete game, but like you said, your whole teammates have been stepping up. You seem to really be clicking now. 3 consecutive wins. What's been working so well during that stretch?
As I said before, the camaraderie on and off the field. A lot of the boys live together. They spend every day together. Training's been really neat and tidy. We're not trying to do too much. We're just sticking to what we're good at, sticking to the processes, executing our skills. And that's the fundamentals of rugby. You catch, pass, and hold the ball, you're going to end up with points on the board. So that's been the key for us the last 2 games, 3 games. We've got a short turnaround. We head up to Utah on Saturday. They put in a massive shift against Seattle last week. So by no means is the work done. We've got a tough day of recovery tomorrow. We jump on a plane Friday and look to finish the season 4 in a row.
You just said it, quick turnaround. What's the key to finishing off this season strong with a win so you can carry that over into next season?
Definitely using our full squad. We've had the pleasure of having the Uruguayan boys for the best part of the whole season. Unfortunately, we lose Diego and Alejandro tomorrow, so it's going to be a massive squad effort this last 4 weeks. It's not going to change on Saturday. We keep doing what we're doing, holding onto the ball, sticking to our structures, making our tackles, which I think has been a focus and definitely a key part of our game the last few weeks, getting off the line and making dominant hits. And that just sets a platform for attacking weapons like Josh, Asaya, Malachi, and plenty of the boys in the backs.
Well, congratulations. I would say go watch the rest of this fireworks ceremony, but I think it just ended, so go celebrate with your team.
Thank you, Austin. Appreciate it.
Austin, thank you very much. Well, just like last year, the SaberCats will finish their season against the Warriors of Utah. Unlike last year, Kit, the SaberCats can finish the season on a 4-match winning streak, ultimately one of the hottest teams in Major League Rugby going into the postseason.
And you heard it from Sam Windsor there. They've really found their form late in the season. Unfortunately for the Cats, just a little too late. But good news, it bodes well for 2020. Impressive tonight. We'll see if they can keep it up this weekend at Utah.
Well, the offseason begins now for the Glendale Raptors. Come up short here in Houston as they'll gear up for year 3 of Major League Rugby. It is a busy weekend, though, with the remaining 8 teams in MLR all in competition this weekend. Plenty of playoff and seeding implications along the way. Plenty of tries as well. Thanks to Austin Ivan down on the sidelines, getting us in touch with coaches and players. For Kit McConigal, I'm Lincoln Rose. A big thanks to our crew as well at AVEVA Stadium. SaberCats take this one. Paul Emmerich's men have won 3 in a row, taking the show on the road to Utah next weekend for one final matchup here in Season 2 of Major League Rugby.
Killam Pest Control is your home's best defense against pesky insects. For more than 50 years, we've been stopping infestations before they start. Killam uses the most advanced techniques in pest control, like the Cetricon termite colony elimination system, to stop bugs dead.
We've been using Killam Pest Control for over 5 years, and we've been extremely happy with our service. They're knowledgeable, and they really care about what they're doing.
Trust Killam Pest Control. Killam kills them.
Welcome, Dynamo fans, to Cube 57. Patty Smith, John Granato, and Paul Gallant.
We're really excited to be broadcasting 30 Houston Dynamo games this season. We were the Dynamo home last year. We're proud to be it again, and we hope that you'll be along with us, whether they're here at BBVA Compass Stadium or on the road all season long.
That's right, Channel 57 or 653 on Xfinity. Come join us.
Once upon a time, there was a time when time stood still and you could pause the hustle and bustle to unwind with good music and a cold, refreshing beer. Well, friend, that time can now be any time thanks to Love Street Kolsch Style Blonde. It's a crisp, easy drinking, go-with-the-flow beer brewed with floral German hops. Hello. Well, hi there. When all you need is to kick back and give the soul some free time, all you need is Love Street. Brewed with love in Houston, Texas by the Karbach Brewing Company.
We are brothers, united by a shared passion to grow the sport of rugby. We assemble here, our home, AVEVA Stadium.